Hello everyone and welcome to the first demo of my game engine coded in LWJGL and Java. So this is just a demo for the rendering capabilities. Currently, if I switch to the game input mode, you can see I'm rendering one barrel. The sun, if I orientate myself this way, is to the right top, on top right, so about there. So as you can see, there's shadows on the left hand side. If I come to this side of the barrel, you can see if I angle the camera, there are reflections. It supports Metallica maps, roughness maps, normal maps, and a base color map. I do plan to implement the displacement maps at some point, but currently that's still a bit just a thought. So, as you can see on the left hand side of the screen, let me just switch to the, let's angle the camera to see the specular reflection lighting, and then switch to GUI mode. As you can see, I'm using Dear I am GUI, the Java implementation of that library. So up here you can see you have model settings. The window can be minimized, maximized, or expanded and retracted. Then I have a drop down to select the model. Currently this is just test objects. Let's stay with the barrel. I select the barrel, then you get the option to select meshes. If your model consists of multiple meshes, then it's possible to select the mesh you want to edit here. Next up, transforms. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Basically, you can set the position, rotation, and scale of the object in your scene. So let's just, for example, set the rotation to 90 degrees around the x-axis. As you can see, the model rotated. It might actually be easier to see if I rotate around the z-axis 90 degrees. And then switch to the game input. And you can see the model is now rotated. Let's just set the rotation back to the default. Angle the camera again. So that's the transform setting. Then there's also a material setting. As you can see, you have the option for base color, for the base color texture, normal texture, Metallica texture, and the roughness texture. Currently, these are all set. These settings will automatically be applied by the engine to the default settings as you specify in the code. So let's say I turn off all the textures. Now you can only see the base color. Base color, you can set the color. Let's make it pink. A bright shade of pink. Like this. Also, it's easier to see the different textures if you don't use a base color map. For example, normal map usually adds small details, so when I enable that, suddenly there's a lot of small details on the model. Bumps, scratches, and whatsoever. Now it's also possible to change the textures. If you come to the drop down menu, currently there's only one texture loaded for a normal map. If you want a new texture, you import a new texture and then it is possible to choose textures here. These are just some examples that I have. So let's say I want the normal map, normal for drum number 1. Select that, hit OK. Now you have a different normal map. And then you can come to the drop down and easily change between the two normal maps. Okay, so that is the normal map. Let's just switch back to drum 3 for now. Metallica map changes the reflection over, not reflection, the color of the reflected light of specific parts of a model. So if you see, if I enable the metallic map, some of the parts are reflected, or some of the parts of a model reflect the light source color. At this moment it is white, as can be seen. Just zoom in a little bit. As can be seen here, it's a white light that is reflected, and over here the pixels actually is reflected in a pink light. So that is the non-metallic surface which reflect the that is the metallic surface that reflects the color of the base model and not of the light source. I'm not sure if that is the correct implementation, but if you combine it with the other maps, that is the best looking implementation that I could have found. Then if we go to roughness, roughness determines the amount of specular light each object or the amount of specular light that is reflected from each pixel of the object. For example, if I go up here, like those, maybe that's a bit of dirt or oil or whatever is stuck on the barrel. Like this. And you can see there are darker parts of a model, which is the roughness. It's a rougher area, less reflections. Then if I go back here, and then the base color is just the base color of a model. And if I enable all the maps, then you get an pretty accurate depiction of a model as it's rendered in Blender in this case. There are still some kinks that I need to sort out, but for now it's a working demo. Now I have spoken about the different types of meshes that each object can have. To demonstrate this, I am going to switch to, if I remember correctly, it's the t.fbx mesh. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, so if I angle myself to see all the meshes at once, this model consists of three meshes: a sphere over here, a torus over there, and a cone over here, which is depicted in the mesh, or yes, the mesh setting in the model settings menu. So I can switch between them. Let's say I want the sphere, the color of the sphere to be blue. I can change that. Then I can switch to the cone, which is this part. I want the cone's color to be yellow. Let's do a darker, more greenish yellow. There we go. And then I want the torus. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. I want the torus to be red. And there you see, if I switch back to the model view, each mesh can have its own material. Now it is also possible to assign each mesh its own textures. For example, the normal map for the torus now uses the normal map for the drum I've showed previously. It's currently not going to look very nice because it was not designed for this model. It's just an example. As you can see, there are a bit of artifacts or details in that model. And then let's just use it on the sphere to get a better depiction. And let's use the metallic map. Now the normal is best seen, yes. So if you switch between them, you can see that detail is retained. The normal map for the sphere stays the drum-free normal PNG texture file. And that is basically it for this demo version of my render engine. If you would like to see the detailed explanation of how everything works plus some code, let me know in the comments, and goodbye.